Have you ever pondered the question, do animals have rights much like we do? Imagine a world where every creature, big or small, is accorded the same respect and protection as human beings. This idea isn't new. The concept of animal rights has been around for centuries. From ancient civilizations that revered animals as sacred beings to modern societies advocating for their protection, we've come a long way. In the current state of affairs, several key legislations and conventions have been established worldwide, pushing for the recognition of animal rights. These legislations not only protect animals from harm and exploitation, but also encourage a more humane approach to our interactions with them. However, despite these strides, the conversation surrounding animal rights is far from over. There are still many challenges to overcome, many battles to be fought. As we delve deeper, remember, this isn't just about animals, it's about us too. Now let's unfold the harsh truth about the current state of animal welfare worldwide. We live in a world where millions of animals, from household pets to wildlife, are subjected to unthinkable cruelty. In fact, it is estimated that globally, hundreds of millions of animals are victims of abuse each year. This includes not just physical violence, but neglect, abandonment, and exploitation as well. These animals are often voiceless, unable to seek help or escape their dire circumstances. And this isn't limited to small-scale, isolated incidents. Large industries are built on the exploitation of animals. The fur industry, for instance, is responsible for the suffering and death of over 100 million animals annually. Let's not forget the heartbreaking, high-profile cases that have shocked the world. Remember the story of Cecil the lion, lured out of a national park and killed for sport? Or Harambe, the gorilla shot in a zoo after a child fell into his enclosure? These are just two examples that highlight the urgent need for change. But it's not just about the animals that make headlines. There are countless others suffering silently, out of the public eye. For instance, the majority of the nearly 60 billion farm animals reared for food globally each year are subjected to intensive farming practices, living in conditions that can only be described as torturous. Moreover, the lack of enforcement of animal rights laws is a grave issue. In many parts of the world, animal welfare laws are either non-existent or poorly enforced, allowing cruelty to continue unchecked. And while we have made some strides in animal rights, the reality is that we are far from where we need to be. There are still many countries where even the most basic animal welfare laws are not in place. And in places where such laws do exist, they are often not enforced effectively. The situation is indeed grim. But remember, these numbers aren't just figures. They represent living beings suffering in silence. It's time for us to amplify their voices and demand change. Because every animal deserves to live a life free from fear, pain, and exploitation. These numbers aren't just figures. They represent living beings suffering in silence. Did you know that your favorite animals could be on the brink of extinction? The world we live in is a vast, diverse ecosystem, teeming with a myriad of species, each playing their unique role in maintaining the balance of nature. But the sad truth is, this balance is being upset, and it's largely due to human activities. Every day, the encroachment of habitats continues at an alarming rate. Forests are being razed to make way for concrete jungles, oceans are being polluted with plastic waste, and the air is being filled with smoke and fumes. The result? Animals are losing their homes, their food sources, and their lives. Consider the polar bear, a majestic creature of the Arctic. As global warming melts the polar ice caps, their hunting grounds are disappearing, leaving them to starve. Or the orangutans, whose rainforest homes in Borneo and Sumatra are being destroyed for palm oil plantations, pushing them closer to the brink of extinction. And it's not just these well-known species. Thousands of less familiar creatures are also under threat. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, more than 27,000 species are currently at risk of extinction. That's about 1 in 4 mammals, 1 in 8 birds, and a third of all amphibians. The rate at which species are declining is staggering. In the last century alone, we've seen a decline in wildlife populations by over 60%. At this pace, the next few decades could witness an extinction event comparable to the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. But this isn't just about losing a species. Each time a species disappears, it disrupts the intricate web of life, impacting other species and ecosystems. The loss of bees, for instance, affects not just the production of honey, but also the pollination of crops, which in turn affects our food supply. Every species lost is a step closer to an ecological imbalance. Remember, this isn't just about the animals. It's about us, too. We are a part of this ecosystem, And the fate of these species is intertwined with our own. Scene script. Change is possible, and it starts with you. The responsibility of promoting animal welfare is not just on the shoulders of organizations or governments, it's on us, the individuals. We hold the keys to a better world for animals. It's in our daily choices, in our habits, our actions, and even our inactions. It's in the way we treat our pets, the products we buy, the food we eat, and the causes we support. Consider this. What if you decide to adopt a vegan lifestyle? It's more than just a dietary change. It's a statement. A statement that you stand against the cruelty inflicted upon animals in the meat and dairy industry. Every meal you eat is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. And when you choose plant-based, you're voting for a world that values the lives of animals. Or think about the products you use daily. Many of them, you may not realize, are tested on animals. By choosing cruelty-free options, you're taking a stand against the unnecessary suffering of animals in laboratories. You're telling companies that the welfare of animals is not something to be compromised for profit. And it doesn't stop there. You can promote animal welfare in so many ways. You can volunteer at local animal shelters or even foster animals in need. You can raise awareness about animal rights issues in your community. You can support legislation that protects animals and punishes those who harm them. You see, every small change you make in your life can create a ripple effect. It can inspire others to do the same. It can encourage companies to change their practices. It can influence policymakers to enact stronger animal welfare laws. So don't underestimate the power you hold, because you, yes you, can make a difference. You can be a beacon of hope for animals. You can be their voice. The power to change the world for animals lies in our hands. It's time to step up and take action. Our world is teeming with organizations dedicated to the noble cause of animal rights. These groups are the vanguard, the defenders of those who cannot defend themselves. They are on the front lines working tirelessly to protect, rescue, and advocate for animals in need. Let's take a closer look at some of these organizations. The Humane Society, for instance, is one of the largest and most well-known animal rights organizations globally. They tackle issues like puppy mills, factory farming, fur trading, and animal testing, to name just a few. Then, there's the World Wildlife Fund. They focus on conservation, striving to protect the world's most vulnerable species and ecosystems. Their work spans the globe, from the icy tundra of the Arctic to the dense jungles of the Amazon. And we mustn't forget about PETA, an organization that is unyielding in its fight against animal cruelty. They're notorious for their provocative campaigns, but their boldness has brought much-needed attention to the plight of animals. But how can we, as individuals, get involved? Well, there are numerous ways. You can volunteer your time at a local animal shelter, fostering animals in need or helping with daily operations. You can also donate to these organizations, providing them with the funds they need to continue their essential work. Moreover, we can all use our voices to lobby for stronger legislation. Write to your local representatives, urging them to support laws that protect animals and punish those who harm them. Attend peaceful protests and rallies, standing in solidarity with our fellow creatures. And don't underestimate the power of education. Share what you've learned with others. Encourage your friends, your family, your colleagues to join you in supporting animal rights. Remember, every little action counts. Every dollar donated, every hour volunteered, every voice raised in protest. It all adds up. It all makes a difference. Together, we can ensure a safer, kinder world for all species. Remember, the fight for animal rights is a fight for justice. We've traveled down a path today, shedding light on the urgency of the situation at hand. We've painted a picture of the stark reality, the rights of animals, often overlooked, ignored, or outright violated. We've introduced you to species in peril, their very existence hanging by a thread, their voices unheard. But we've also spoken about change, about the power that each and every one of us holds. We've shown you how to get involved, how to make a difference in this world that we share with countless other species. Now it's time to act. The urgency of this situation cannot be overstated. Immediate action is not just necessary, it's imperative. Animals, just like us, deserve respect, love, and above all, justice. It's time to stand, to raise our voices, to echo their silent pleas. Stand up for those who can't speak for themselves. Their rights are our responsibility.